hey, if the Manosphere is asking for laws to change, safety nets to be stood up, paternity tests at birth, and protections from being jailed for unpaid child support, aren't they asking for government assistance for men? Hmm.
I'm gonna let them take this
You want me to
first
run with?
because
You want me to?
Who put that in the chat?
Two thumbs pointed at this guy. It just dawned on me. I was like, when I hear them, they really focus their content to go viral, talking about black women, talking about gender wars. But when you underneath it all, when the smoke clears, they start talking about Pookie, being in arrears for child support, going to jail for child support. The laws need to change for marriage, and things aren't fair, and there's no safety nets for men. And I'm like, personally, as a content creator for myself, I want to start doing that research and figure out, because the story that they try to sell is that men, there's no resources for us if they didn't pay their rent. There's always going to be a safety net or something like that. But like I said, it dawned on me, and I was like, they're basically asking for lawyers and lawmakers to change these laws, to set up these safety nets, to set up these resources so that men can have kind of like a softer life. And I'm like, they're kind of like these guys who are, kind of anti-government, but they're asking for the government to stand things up or change things for themselves. It's kind of weird, in my opinion. I understand where they're coming from, but it's like, do they see the hypocrisy in what they're asking?
Woman, do you think that a man or a woman that can't afford to pay their child support should go to jail?
That's a good question. I'm going to lean on yes. I know it's going to hurt some hearts here. But see, here's the thing, HTTV, because I did some research on this too. The Manosphere men or the red pill guys, they scream from the mountaintops, we need the laws to change. If you don't, you'll go to jail if you don't pay child support. That's only like 14% of the cases. This is not the majority. I know there's a lot of people who say we need to change these laws because we need to argue for the majority. Well, that's not the majority. That's 14%. There's not a lot of people who are on child support who are going to jail. You can just do the Google. It's like 14%, roughly. But
so 14%, why don't we just get rid of it?
I think there's it might sound good, but like if we got rid of it, I would kick it back to you and say, what does that look like in terms of these men who may not want to be in their children's lives, and that money is helping the parent in some type of shape or form, or they are in the child's life, but they're just not able to really co-parent really well, and that they need that system or that order in place to kind of keep things moving. I would just ask you, how would it work hypothetically if you to do that?
Well, if you let a lot of people tell you the money doesn't really cover what it means to actually have the child. So a lot of brothers don't even when they qualify for child support, as far as to pay it, not paying enough that it's actually warranted to actually cover the expenses to actually take care of the child.
Okay.
So it's like, my main issue with the system is that it's like a blanket number. Like, there should be a calculation of how much it costs to raise a kid based upon that area. It shouldn't be based upon how much money you make. It shouldn't be based upon this. It's like, if it takes this much money to raise a child, then that's the money that this guy needs to pay. He shouldn't pay like $1 million and pay a percentage based upon his income, because his lifestyle is different than the mother's. To me, that's just dumb.
Well, I don't know. I kind of push back on that. Is like, if you're Reese, you can't say, hey, let me go pay the same child support as the guy who's the UPS worker. Nobody. You have a lifestyle. They got accustomed to that lifestyle when you were married, or just you as a dad. It's not fair for you to be going to a palatial estate with your dad, and then you're going over to like the slums with your mom. That's not fair. There needs to be a little bit of a balance, in my opinion.
There's no balance, because if he has to pay child support based upon his income, simply a percentage. So he has to pay millions of dollars to take care of a kid. It don't take millions of dollars to take care of a kid. So I understand the argument, but it's not fair. This is what happens when you break up the home. It's not going to be fair. The child's going to be behind because the family's separated. It's not fair. There's nothing fair about when the family feuds. It's nothing.
I want to throw this out here too, HDTV. Sorry to interrupt, Shan. I think one of the bigger problems that's not really being talked about, just my opinion, these people are not getting married. So that's why this is a huge topic for our community. I think, in my opinion, I think that if these people were married to the woman that if they stopped procreating with women they didn't want to live with for the rest of their life or didn't want to intentionally date and intentionally spend their life with, if they married those women, they wouldn't be on child support. They would be raising a family under one roof. But now they're trying to raise it under two roofs, and they might not be able to afford it. So it's a lot. I think there's a lot of complications in this because it's expensive to have a family. I don't have any kids, but I've heard it's extremely expensive. So the child support is, in my opinion, not going to be perfect in some of these cases because the money's just not going to stretch the way, like you said, it's not going to be able to cover the things that it's supposed to cover because the money, two households is more expensive than one.
I agree. Two houses is definitely more expensive than one, but you're saying that the people aren't getting married. So if we say majority of people, it's like a 50-50 split. If you get married, you're getting divorced. And then the majority, we can argue about if it's 70, 80, 60, 55, whatever. They say majority of the cases that when a divorce is going to happen, the woman files first, right? That doesn't mean she's 100% at fault, but she's like, hey, I'm up out of there. If there's no benefit or no help or anything that you can get to support you as you continue to separate from that family, right? How many women would actually still file for divorce and be like, hey, I'll solely be responsible, because women file for custody first most times, right?
Mm.
And then you got to understand that if you're volunteering yourself to take care of said kid, that means you should take the responsibility of said kid. Now, granted, I think joint custody would be a little bit better, but like you said, at the end of the day, once the relationship decides to dissolve in the way that it does, you're going to have a bunch of issues that aren't simple fixes because of this new situation.
I want to ask one quick question. Maybe we revisit later. Have you ever been married before?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Shan, sorry I interrupted you earlier.
Okay, so I wanted to answer the question. So I do believe that there are different types of situations in this, in that some don't cause, some should be looked at with a little bit of, you should be a little empathetic. For example, if a man is working all day and he's just not getting paid enough, he's productive, but his productivity just does not equal to the point where he can pay a lot. I think that guy should it looks a lot different from a person who just doesn't want to pay, right? He's given what he can. So those are two different types of people to me. And just like if you have a woman who is working all day and she can't make, she can't make the money that is needed to raise a kid, I think that he should have help just like she has help. That's my opinion, okay?